This is Proclamation 2039. This is where Roosevelt issued a directive to Congress on what he wanted created. And right here, this line here, this little paragraph here is what is the most important part, in my opinion. The other stuff is important too. It says to authorize and direct the creation in such banking institutions of special trust accounts for the receipt of new deposits, which shall be subject to withdrawal on demand without any restriction or limitation, and shall be kept separately in cash or on deposit in Federal Reserve banks or invested in obligations of the United States. Now, people just don't seem to get it. What I'm talking about, Social Security, is a trust account. If it's not a trust, why are there trustees? Trustees only manage a trust. Anytime you see the word trustee, there is a trust. Agency, a relationship that arises when one person, a principal, which is the trustees, manifests assent to another, an agent, that the agent will act on the principal's behalf, subject to the principal's control, and the agent manifests assent or otherwise consents to do so. An agent's actions have legal consequences for the principal when the agent acts within the scope of the agent's actual authority or with apparent authority, or the principal later ratifies the agent's action. Why is that important? You'll see. You got to wonder why some of the important words are always about the use of another's property. Look at the second definition. Someone who is authorized to act for or in place of another, a representative. Authorized representative is synonymous for agent. Look at this right here, beneficial owner. One recognized in equity as the owner of something because use and title belong to that person, even though legal title may belong to someone else, one for whom the property is held in trust. Okay? A beneficial owner is not always the beneficiary. And beneficial ownership is always the beneficiary. Ownership. Let's go down to beneficial ownership. A beneficiary's interest in trust property, also termed equitable ownership. That's why I say you're not a beneficiary of the trust, not the full beneficiary. And if you are getting benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, disability, etc., you're a limited beneficiary, not a full-fledged beneficiary. But again, these words are what? You're using a property someone else holds legal title to. Look at this. Both definitions are pretty good here. The word dummy, a party who has no interest in a transaction but participates to help achieve a legal goal. Why do you think they want you to go to court? They need you to play the part of the dummy. Two, a party who purchases property and holds legal title for another. And it says, see Strawman 3. Look at Strawman 3. A third person used in some transactions as a temporary transferee to allow the principal parties to accomplish something that is otherwise impermissible. And what does it do? It takes you right back to the word dummy. CF, compare. Word dummy. Now, look how many times it talked about holding property of another or legal title. Trustee, someone who stands in a fiduciary or confidential could mean private, relationship to another, especially one who having legal title to property holds it in trust for the benefit of another and owes fiduciary duty to that beneficiary. So having legal title to property. Transferee, one to whom a property interest is conveyed. See, you have a property interest in the name, not as a beneficiary, but as the beneficial owner and or agent. The Secretary of the Treasury is the first trustee, the managing trustee. You've heard the term first trustee, some of y'all have. Why? That's the bank. Secretary of Labor. Why? When you fill out a W-4 for employment and you put the name, you put the social, you put an address, you check box U.S. citizen, who's the actual employee? Is it you or is it the trust? Well, under the 14th Amendment, all corporations, all businesses, and all trusts are legal persons having equal protection of the law. And the Department of Labor needs to keep up with what the trust is doing. The address is for the Office of the Agent. Third trustee, Secretary of Health and Human Services. Why? Oh, you've heard about the Title II funds, Title IV funds, all those things. Who gets that? The state. That's who's getting the distribution, and they have to report to who? Department of Health and Human Services to get their funds. See, you're not the full beneficiary, the state is. But you don't understand your role when it comes to that name and your relationship to it.